Yo guys, so what's going on? Man, I haven't shot content in forever, in a long time. There's so many things that's been happening. We got to talk about it, so we're gonna break it all down. It's been, God man, it feels like it's been years since I shot a video, and just keeping you guys updated and all of that. So there's a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, some neutral things, but we're gonna talk about it so I can explain how everything is going, what I'm doing currently, what I was doing, all of that. You know, have I been traveling, have I not been traveling, cars, houses, girls, stuff like that. So first off, let's get into what I've been doing. So as you guys know, I'm a software engineer by trade. One of the biggest things that I've been working on is my AI girlfriend chatbot app. And that is actually going really well. I just launched it about 2.5 months ago, but I was using the tech to run my current high ticket offer for AI, like modeling and OnlyFans agencies or whatever. So that is actually the highlight of everything I've been doing. And we'll talk about that later in the video, but let's talk about some of the not so good things. And those are crazy because I know you guys have seen the offers. You know, most people know me as the either Amazon or OnlyFans guy. And I do the Amazon thing still to a lesser extent. You know, the warehouse is still pumping out products and stuff, but it's really for current clients. I haven't really taken any new clients. That space is so different as far as Amazon automation. We've had some super big players come in, gobble up market share, tank shit. At that point, I want nothing to do with it. I just want to take care of the people that I already have. And then when it came to OnlyFans, we're gonna talk about how that went because Jesus, that was like a nightmare, all right? So you guys know we always talk about good, bad, you know, it doesn't matter, all right? So let's go. All right, guys, so let's talk about the whole OnlyFans thing. You guys know I had a big OnlyFans agency. We had an offer called Modeling Agency Automation, and man, like things were good until they weren't. So that business actually imploded and caused so many issues. Everything was all fine and good up until I decided to like monetize it outside of what it was intended for, right? So the agency was intended to help girls make money and all that, and then I monetized it outside of that by offering people who wanted to get into OnlyFans the ability to get into OnlyFans, which at that point I didn't understand how banks work. I just didn't realize that if you send a bajillion wires, it kind of flags a bank and says, yo, he might be doing something fraudulent, whatever it is. So yeah, man, bank accounts got shut down, trying to pay, you know, employees, it was just a fucking nightmare. And for, I'd say like 5 or 6 months, it was just hectic. Like it didn't matter how much money I made, I was just fucking miserable every day. Absolutely miserable. I would wake up and just be like, oh, another day of this bullshit. This is not where you want to be when it comes to business. So I just shut all of that shit down. The blowback from that, like shutting down a multi-million-dollar business is not something that you want to do. Most people would have been like, oh, sell it, sell it, sell it. Sitting and waiting around for the perfect buyer because it's in the not safe for work space. And after that, I just had to sit back and be like, yo, so what is it that I really want to do? What is it that I can do to not necessarily replace that income quickly, but do something that has less risk and is more fulfilling? So that's where software came into play because, you know, that's what I did before this whole digital marketing thing and all that shit. So I just decided this is what we're going to do. You know, and went through different iterations. Like, you know, I did a little bit of business coaching and consulting, but in the meantime, I was working out ideas and fleshing them into reality for what ultimately became this project. At first, I was gonna build a dating app to compete with Seeking Arrangement. And then I happened to go down the Reddit rabbit hole one day, and there was a subreddit on I fell in love with my AI, and there was just thousands and thousands and thousands of replies. And at that point, I was like, you know what? There's something to this. Started researching, looking through everything, and I was like, man, this is super freaking lucrative, and it would be relatively easy to build. It's not gonna be quick, but it'll be easy enough to build. I can make it better than what most people are doing, and here we are. So that's the project. That's what I've been working on, and that's ultimately what I want to scale because it's faceless. I don't have to market it, you know, as Rico's brand or any of that stuff. It stands on its own. It lives on its own, and that's one of the most beautiful things about it, where I don't have to take part in doing all the bullshit, right? I just have to build it, consistently update it, and worry about, you know, marketing it, but not through my brand. And one of the best things about software is, if you guys understand that space, once you build it, it's just there. It's just maintaining it and making sure the servers are up and running and stuff like that. So it's not very expensive. Most of the high ticket offers you see, whether it be Amazon automation or some type of consultant or whatever it is, there's always gonna be a big cost. And in the case of like Amazon automation, even though I had my own team and everything else, you're still giving up anywhere from 30 to 40%, especially if you have sales and marketing agency come in. A marketing agency, usually you'll take 10%, and then you have a sales team, which might take another 10%. And then of course you have, your business expenses, which might be another 20, 30, maybe even 40%. So after everything is said and done, you're like, oh shit, I'm making money, but there's crazy expenses. When it comes to software, there's really not much on that side of things. Usually your expenses for software are gonna be anywhere between 10 to 25%. So a lot of the stuff that happens is gonna be pure profit. And that's what I looked at and I'm like, okay, if Rico's gonna get out of this crazy space and figure things out, that's what I wanna do. So you guys can obviously see there's a lot of greenery. This does not look like Philadelphia, does it? Of course not, because it isn't. We're gonna talk about that in this next segment right now on what I've been doing outside of recouping and all that shit. All right, so obviously not in Philadelphia. So I've been spending a lot of time out in Medellin, out in Colombia, and I love it. I love this place. It's amazing. The food's good. The culture's awesome. It's super cheap, which was really important when I'm trying to rebuild and grow a business and all that stuff. So let's talk about, everything that happened with Jacksonville. You guys know I had, a deal with the Jack's House for the agency. I was traveling back and forth from my Amazon stuff. I was just racking up freaking flyer miles and a ton of points, right? Because we have to run ads and businesses and stuff. So at that point, I'm like, shit, Rico has to figure out how to build this software and do all these different things. But I don't know if I'm gonna be doing it in Philadelphia. It's gonna be too expensive. So a lot of my friends have been coming out to Medellin. They've been leaving Miami, LA, Vegas, coming here just because of the super, super cheap cost of living, cost of labor, and you can get a whole lot of work done here. So at the end of the day, that's what I've really been focused on. I've just been focusing on being creative, just creating all different types of things, and just having to rebuild has been crazy, absolutely crazy. Like to go from being king to damn near being peasant, but having all the skills of said king, that was tough. Just get over. You don't just wake up and like, damn, I just grenaded. First time I've grenaded a business and lost millions of dollars a year in revenue. That's crazy, right? So I was like, all right, this is kind of like my Mexico. You ever seen Fast and Furious? Han, Tokyo was his Mexico. Medellin's my Mexico. And the people of Medellin has been so nice. It's helped me build the software faster and do it in solitude. And probably end up moving here, to be honest with you guys, at some point. I got kids back home, but we'll see. There's so many things that have to unfold. But that's really what I've been up to. I've been able to just kind of think about what Rico wants and what makes Rico the person that he is. Is it the cars? Is it, building the businesses? Is it growing the businesses to a certain level? What's been most important? And here, like people ain't rich, bro. Like they make on average around $500 a month and they still struggling. So imagine you guys come down here and let's say you make $5,000 a month, you got a digital business or whatever, you might as well be a millionaire. There's really not shit you can't do, right? So that was one of the things I had to look at. I was like, yo, how far can my money go when it comes to rebuilding? Because I got my kids to think about, I got my tribe to think about, I got employees, all these types of things. And if I'm gonna build another business and scale it, I need to be as efficient as humanly possible. And I needed to do it in a place where I'm not just burning money, right? So here we are, this is my Mexico. And it's just to really sit back and reflect. We're gonna have to talk about that because most people, when things go wrong, they just hide in the sand and they're just like, oh, well, that's it. I'm not gonna do anything and hopefully it gets better. And nothing will change if nothing changes. So let's talk about that in this last track and you guys can really understand my thoughts on this. Because as you guys can tell, even the channel has changed somewhat. We're not gonna be talking about e-com as much because that's not my primary business. We're gonna be talking about business and life, right? So let's get to the life part. All right, guys, so, my happy-go-lucky demeanor, if you guys had followed me during that point when shit was going down, it changed. I was just miserable, man. After everything started falling and I had never really failed before. Going from the military to college and then getting job offers at big Fortune 500 companies and growing my businesses from my couch and having my first $1 million year, not even having to leave my job. All that shit, you're king at that point. And then for something to actually not work the way you wanted, that was probably the hardest thing because I'm a workaholic, I'm a perfectionist. That's just what it is. That's who I am. And for something to fail, I just felt damn, this sucks. This failed. The thing is, shit like that happens in business, but it had never happened to me. I'd seen it happen to other people in the space, like my boy Condi, man. When I seen it happen to him, I was like, oh shit, so it's possible, but I'm gonna keep going. And that shit happened. I'm like, whoa, this sucks. This is painful. This is really hard to deal with. And from a human perspective, at least a male perspective, right? So women, you can tune out now, but from a male perspective, when you are taking care of your tribe and you can't do that at the level that you're accustomed to, it just causes a bunch of backlash. You don't feel adequate, right? And that's just how I felt. I didn't feel adequate enough for my friends, for my family, for clients, for anything, and I just sat there for months. I didn't even want to get out of bed most days, to be honest with you, but I had to. I didn't have a choice because I'm like, shit, I gotta figure this out. And one of the things that I feel defines people that win versus people that don't win, because you can't say losers. Like, the losers are the people that don't do anything. You have winners, people that don't win, and you have losers. The people that don't win, when they face adversity, they just don't do enough to overcome it. The losers never even get to the adversity. They give up before they even get to the hard shit, right? So I'm like, I don't wanna be one of the people that don't win, right? Like, you can't win every day, but you don't have to lose every day either. You know, you still have to play the game, and that's where I had to get to. I'm like, I just need to be able to play this game, and that's what happened. And I'm very grateful for the skills that I have, so I could go back and build. As you notice, like, a lot of these digital marketers, they don't build their own funnels, they don't build their own teams, they don't run their own ads, they don't do none of this shit. I had to learn all of that when I started because I didn't have the money to pay all these people to do everything for me. So I had to run my own ads, I had to build my own funnels, I had to build out everything. So that's what I went back to, and I did it in my Mexico. So where we're at, guys, like, a lot of shit to unpack, but that's what I've been doing, and I feel like this new chapter is gonna be a great one. Now we can really talk about what we want. We don't just have to talk about e-com. We could talk about life, we could talk about women, we can talk about business, we could talk about whatever. And that's kind of gonna be the flow moving forward when it comes to the channel. There'll be more advice from the things that I've gone through, and, you know, I've grown over the last 7, 8 years of this entrepreneurship, bro. Like, it's been a long time. You know, like, I got out of the, industry like 7 years ago. Went full time, doing this whole entrepreneurship. I've just learned a lot of lessons, both in business and in life. And, now I can just give you guys some of the pros and cons and just share my experience with you. So yeah, man, this new phase is gonna be a good one. But Rico gotta sign off because Rico gotta go make a whole lot of money to solve this fucking MAA problem. Because, woo, that shit is crazy. Imagine you wake up and you're like, damn, like, I just lost all that money? Well, that's what it is. So, all right, guys, as usual, be safe, be smart. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.